Bases dropped, a new round of SDH AM. John here, you there, Thursday Thoughts. We got a lot of juice boxes to get into today. It is a busy day overseas because you've got Europa League and Europa Conference League. We've got to get into what happened last night in Major League Soccer. The wild card round started, and it gave us more questions, I think, on some clubs than it did answers. We'll get into that. We got highlights, and we'll go through all the numbers and get you ready for the weekend coming up as well. Niko Moreno joining us at 10:30. We do have, if you remember last week, I wrote down last Thursday, Niko's supposed 1 through 9s, and we'll see how accurate he was. Let's see. He was half accurate in the East, and he was half accurate in the West. And so we'll find out what he thinks about it. We'll preview the opening round and get his thoughts coming up at the last half hour of the show. Nino Torres from GOLTV comes in fully loaded at 10 o'clock, and we will tour the planet. I imagine we're going to be talking Libertadores and what happened there last night. Santi Sosa was the victim of friendly fire last night at the end of their match. But we'll go into whatever's on Nino's mind coming up at 10 o'clock, fully loaded. We'll go into Portugal. We'll go into Europe. We'll go into South America. We'll go into cup competitions, all the things. So that's hour number 2. Like I said, hour number 1, we got a lot of stuff to catch up on just to get you ready for the day. And we'll go over what happened in Champions League yesterday, get you set for Europa League and Conference League today. And then we'll get you ready with Major League Soccer and preview all that stuff. So that's the morning for us. Morning, Alex. It's good to have you here as always. Good to have all of you here as always. So here's the rundown today. That's the rundown for today. Tomorrow we're stacked because obviously we've got to get into a lot of the stuff on the weekend in Major League Soccer. So Lucas Panzica is going to join us from 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. He's going to bat leadoff for us tomorrow. We'll see if we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30. And we are still waiting to find out who our guest is going to be in the 10 o'clock segment from Major League Soccer. And Will Pelagic, play-by-play voice for Charlotte FC, is going to join us at 10:30 to talk about his series and the absence of one gentleman in particular because his engine runs a little hot. And so we'll find out about what's on Willie P's mind. We'll catch up with Lucas. We'll find out what's going on Major League Soccer-wise. And we'll see if we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. Keep an eye out on the weekend for the Roots, powered by our friends at Nofo Brewing. And we go to Prague, Czechoslovakia, or Czechia. So we go to Prague, Czechia, and find out what's going on with the Prague Raptors, because we get to add that story coming up in a bit. And we're also, once again, efforting our friends from Mjällby in Sweden after they've won the title in the Allsvenskan. They won the title, and then they've got, I think, one more match left, and that's this weekend. They got one more home match left this weekend, and so we are efforting, trying to catch up with our friends from Mjällby. They know that we're coming in the door, and we've already knocked, and they've answered, and so we just have to figure out the when and when we can tape that, and that'll be in the Roots as well, catching up with our friends in Sweden as they've won the Allsvenskan. Let me see if I've missed any other interview opportunities. The answer is no. Okay, so that is tomorrow. That is Roots. When you have a Red Clay Soccer Report, we're going to tour the state and get you ready for all the stuff that's going on in like the 7 different conferences that have soccer attached to it on the collegiate ranks. So busy weekend on a bunch of fronts, college, pro, busy week for us, domestic, international, all the things. So that is the rundown for the next couple days. And Abby coming in this morning. Morning, Abby, by the way. And yes, we will be getting into this. Abby says, for those of you who are watching on the video side of things, so glad that OFYO lost. Nothing like a loss from Orlando. Yes, of course. So that is, like I said, we'll get into that. We'll get into the numbers. We've got the 2 wildcard games to get into. We've got some highlights there as well. And so we'll get you ready for all of that coming up in a little bit. So opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. As always, here's your QR code. Now get your day started. you once again hit that QR code that takes you directly into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And we just ask something simple. We just want you to buy out the store. And then when you buy out the store, then you wander up to whatever device, maybe you're visiting them on, in person, and you're like, well, hey, here's this. And I want to buy out the store. And then you sit there and go, okay, well then what do you want to do? Well, I want to use the code soccer down here 15. And then they'll go, okay, cool. Then you get 15% off your purchase. And then they in turn take 10%, reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, we come out of there and we go to opening kickoff, which was yesterday. And I think probably what we'll do here, because like I said, we could go in a bunch of different directions. But I think what we'll do here is we'll talk about what happened in Champions League, because there's a new marker. There's a new record, the new track record from our friend Tom Carnegie that used to be at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Teo Fabi, a new track record, one of those kind of things. Like the Indy 500, the dude goes around the circuit, and you'd always have Tom Carnegie sit there and he goes, a new track record, Teo Fabi. So new record, goals in a match day, 71. And them's a lot of goals. And so you had a massive amount of offense. And I don't know if this speaks to the good teams being that good, the matchups being that off the wall, or just in general where it was luck of the draw and you had that collision of things happening yesterday. So yesterday in the league phase, they call it the league phase. It's no longer group stage. It's league phase, since it's open competition and everything. So yesterday, get this. Galatasaray beat Bodo Glimt 3-1. Bilbao, after being down in the first couple of minutes to Karabag, ends up coming back to win that one 3-1. Sporting over Marseille 2-1. They were down 1-0 in that one too. Real over Juve 1-0 at a -238. Spurs and Monaco, goalless draw. And from all reports, the fans of Spurs were less than pleased. Spurs got booed off the pitch in Monaco in a goalless draw. Then Liverpool put 5 on Eintracht Frankfurt. They were easily favored at a -179. Chelsea did the same thing, but they were at home to Ajax at a -312. Chelsea, by the way, this might even be a sub-opening kickoff to the opening kickoff. I don't know if we've ever had like an opening kickoff inside opening kickoff, but yesterday, and I've got to find the story because I want to get the number right, but I think I saw that there were 33 academy players that were registered for that matchup against Ajax. I didn't even know that you could do that just to that extent. I mean, 33 players, 33 academy players that were registered the entire, for this matchup against Ajax. I mean, yes, you were a massive favorite. That goes without saying. But just the idea that you could register almost 3 dozen players that were academy players attached into this matchup. And it was crazy when that number came across the board. You're like, yeah, we're registering 33 academy players. And you're like, well, okay then. And so, it was an easy day for Chelsea as they made their way through. So then you had the other matchup where it was Bayern Munich put 4 on Club Brugge, and Atalanta and Slavia Prague, a goalless draw. That was the end of league phase. And so 71 goals in a match day. And it was just big numbers across the board. And then Mo Salah, apparently, since he was benched, decided to remove all references to Liverpool off of his social media. Take that for what it is. Obviously, someone is angry, and now Arne Slot has to figure out what his best lineup is. And, it wasn't when Mo Salah got benched. And so Mo Salah's not happy. And so that to me means one thing. And that means that I've got to change my fantasy lineup and shift my focus to Erling Haaland as opposed to Mo Salah, because they're in the fantasy league that I'm in. You've got like 2 players that are massively expensive and then everybody else. Mo Salah in the midfield, Erling Haaland as a forward. And so I went Salah thinking it was going to be a little tougher for Manchester City to start things off this season. I was wrong. So Erling Haaland already's got like 80 points in fantasy after a handful of matches, and Salah does not. So I'm going to have to try and figure out a way that I can do 2 transactions and trade out Salah for Haaland going forward. But yeah, Mo Salah's not happy. And so now you've got to figure out benching Mo Salah. Isak pulled it at halftime. Cody Gakpo, Ekitike, and Florian Wirtz were there. And you're trying to figure out now what your best lineup is going forward. Gravenberch, Alexis, Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, Frimpong injured. So you got to keep an eye out for that. What does it mean for Isak going forward? So you had 71 goals in a match day, and you had a very, very busy day if you took totals when it came to Champions League. And then you go back 2 days ago, once again, remember, Arsenal big win. PSG put up 7. Dortmund put up 4. Newcastle put up 3. PSV put up 6. Inter put up 4. Manchester City put up 2. How pedestrian of them. And then Barca put up 6 on Olympiacos. And then you had the draw for the 17-hour plane ride from Paphos from Cyprus to Kazakhstan to take on Kairat Almaty. But 71 goals in a match day. That is insane when you think about the numbers. And so you're looking at 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 18 matches, 71 goals. So that's just under 4 goals on average a match. So if there's a goal, if there was a match that didn't have any, then that means you had like 7.5 or 8 in the others. And it's not too far from being off. So it was just absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. So you had that going on in Champions League yesterday. So that was just the craziness of Champions League and all the offense in general. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, that's your QR code. Hit your day. Start your day there. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You go in, you say, hey, I'm buying out the store, but I'm using the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it, youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, now, Major League Soccer last night, it was the wild card round, and it was a couple of games involving teams that faded into the 9. I was looking at you, Orlando, and your trek to Bridgeview to take on Chicago. See, they couldn't even use Soldier Field because of this thing called the National Football League. So they go to Bridgeview, and from all indications, it looked like it was a packed house. I don't know what the attendance figures were in the matchup itself. So I will be intrigued as to how many folks were there. I mean, it looked like it was full, except like in the end zone on the one camera shot where you look and you turn. 13,783. So they kind of looked like they pushed everybody into that one section behind the goal. I don't know what the cameras had underneath them, but the registered attendance last night in Bridgeview, 13,783. I mean, you're an hour outside of Chicago. I get it. You have to be a diehard to want to go down and see an 8-9 matchup in Bridgeview, southwest of the city of Chicago downtown in the midweek. But 13,783, they were pretty loud. And it ended up as a dominant win by Chicago. And I think that what it does is it gives us more questions involving the purple team. I think it does. And so obviously we'll get into that here as we go and we talk about it. But this was the goal. And I'll say this. The first half, I swear to God, I was having problems keeping interest in the match. Because Orlando, and this is something that we've talked about over the last handful of years with Orlando, where they kind of hit a number and they fade into the postseason. Now, like I said, we'll talk about a little bit more in depth with this with Niko when he comes in the last half hour, but Orlando goes in with the slow fade. They hit that number and then they just all the air goes out of the balloon, and your tires, and you're sitting there and you're going down the road. And it happened again this season. Let's get into your highlights and your stats, or your highlight and your stats. Well, once again, first half was just dreadful. Goalless at the break. And then Chicago, after the halftime talk, they come out, they take care of business. It starts here. Callum and Lori Lindsay on the call, courtesy of Apple TV and Major League Soccer.
Feeling patience will play its part in this one. Argyle having to wait and feed down the line. Angled ball played in, it falls for Gutierrez! In front of Section 8, a goal 8 years in the making for Chicago Fire!
But how smooth is this first touch? Middle of your screen, just stays out of it, and then just a calmness from Zinkernagel to find the wide areas, allow for that first time ball to come across, and then Gutierrez just finding that little bit of space. No one tracks him, but that first touch is just magnificent. Takes it down, cushions it, and then the second touch in the back of the net to put Chicago Fire at home, up 1-0.
And of course it comes from the boy from down the way, Brian Gutierrez.
Brian Gutierrez gets the first goal on the board, 48th minute. And then Oscar Pareja decides to go to his bench, bringing in Tyrese Spicer. Spicer would score the lone goal for Orlando later. Hugo Kuipers would score 2 goals in 9 minutes. One of them, you got to give Kuipers full credit for sticking with the play in and of itself and making sure that Pedro Gallese had to think about where he was trying to distribute the ball. He goes with a decision off to his left. Kuiper basically just blocks the pass as it's inside the 6 and slam dunks it into the net. So 3-0 at that point, and you end up with a 3-1 final, Spicer scoring in the 89th minute. Looking at the numbers in this one, it wasn't that close. Really was not that close at all. In this one, possession, 53-47, yeah, whatever, okay, fine. More like 52-48. 25 shots. 25 shots for Chicago in this one, compared to 7 for Orlando. Orlando was trying to lull us to sleep, and it almost worked for me. And I think what they were attempting to do offensively was try to force turnovers, short field, be clinical, and finish. But that wasn't even working. It was a painful watch in the first 45. I'm not going to lie. So you didn't miss anything in the first 45. All the goals happening in the second half. Shots on target, 9-4. 6 blocks, by the way, for Chicago on the evening. And it was 6 corners, 3 each side, 13 total crosses, 9 for the purple team, 3 offside, 2 of them for Chicago. XG, if you're into this kind of stuff, 3.5 to 0.3. 3.5 to 0.3. All Chicago. 9 saves on the night, 6 of them to Pedro Gallese, 17 clears, 9 to Orlando. 22 fouls were called in the match, 11 each side. 4 yellows. So, and honestly, there were times in the second half where I was wondering why Rodrigo Schlegel did not pick up a second yellow. There was some chippy stuff going on from the back line for the purple team, and Schlegel continued, and I don't know why he didn't get a second one for dissent after one of those moments. But I know you don't want to make a playoff game down to 10 or what have you, but 11 fouls called on the purple team, 3 yellows. 1 yellow on 11 fouls for Chicago on the day. Passing breakdown, we mentioned the shooting breakdown, 9 shots on target to 4 in a 25-7 shooting gallery for Pedro Gallese. 5 off target for Chicago, 2 off target for the purple team. Open play passing percentage, 85% to 84. Set piece crosses, 2 out of 5 on average for Chicago. Open play crosses, 1 out of 4 for Chicago. And you look at the control by interval, and what Major League Soccer will do is sit there and go control by interval, possession and what have you, and they'll go by minute chunks. And it literally was 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. It's just slightly more than half of the control was by Chicago in the match. But when they needed to score, they certainly did that. 3.5 to 0.3, 25 shots to 7, 9 shots on target to 4. 9 shots on target to 4. And now, once again, you're raising the question about Oscar Pareja. And I mean this, knowing that Oscar is a very, very good coach. I legitimately thought over the last couple of seasons that they had skipped that notion of, we're going to be more even keeled and we're going to sit there and we're going to we're going to have an even distribution of our energy throughout the season. Last couple of years, you saw that going into the playoffs. This past year, they reverted to form, and you end up with, well, the air goes out of the balloon. Ojeda, a 7-0. Gillespie, a 7-5 with all the numbers that he had to put up last night. Obviously, he was the player of the match for the purple team. But you had a bunch of sixes across the board. Starting lineup for Orlando, Brekalo, Janssen, who was back in the lineup. Remember, we talked to Mike Gramajo, and that was one of the questions, is what's the back line going to look like? Brekalo, Janssen, Schlegel, and Freeman. Angulo, Arujo, Atuesta, and Pasalic. Atuesta, he's another one who got a yellow card, and there were a couple of other rough challenges that were there. Ojeda and McGuire were the other two up top. And starting lineup for Chicago, Chris Brady was in net. Gutman, Elliott, Waterman, Joel Waterman, who has survived being yelled at by Joey Saputo, got a new leash on life in Chicago. Johnny Dean, the little ball I hate from Wofford, got a 7.8. Gutierrez, an 8.7. Davila, a 6.9. Orahela, 6.9. Zinkernagel on the night, a 9. Highest rated player for the Chicago on the night. Hugo Kuiper's an 8.5. Jonathan Bamba, a 7.3. Just to give you an idea, Zinkernagel played the full 90. And he had his own XG of a quarter a point. 3 total shots, 1 on target, 1 hit the woodwork, 2 shots were blocked. For Zinkernagel on the night, 39 of 48 passing, 2 crosses on the night, 7 key passes for Philip Zinkernagel. 2 big chances created, 1 assist, and the XA at a 0.29. So basically his XA plus his XG was a 0.54. 32 of 46. 32 of 46 passing in the Orlando half. 9 of 10 in his own half. Had 1 long ball completed as well. On the dribble, 4 unsuccessful touches, but he was 4 of 5 on the dribble. 3 times he was fouled as well. So it's Philip Zinkernagel, a 9.0 on the night for Chicago as they advance, and they're going to take on Philly in the next round. And so we know what the start time is for that, and we'll get into that after we talk about the late match. And the late match last night was RSL and Portland. This one was far more exciting. So, of course, you're sitting there and you're thinking, how do I, after that first match, that first 45 almost put me to sleep. I guess it kind of saved your energy for the second 45. And so Portland, they go and at home take care of RSL. RSL didn't seem to have a whole lot of energy attached to themselves. And Portland, you don't know really with Portland, you don't know which Portland you're going to get on a daily basis. You really don't. And RSL just seemed kind of hamstrung for most of the evening. Felipe Mora had 2 goals on the board. It was 2-0 at the 2-0 going into the 39th minute. Justin Glad scores to make it 2-1. That's your score at the break. That's your score as there were a couple of moments where you're sitting there and you're wondering, is RSL going to get that equalizer? Are they going to get the equalizer? Are they going to get the equalizer? There was a moment in the second half where Willie Agata on a bicycle kick hit the crossbar. And you're kind of thinking maybe if that doesn't go in, then it's probably going to be Portland's night. And as they're chasing after that goal, meaning RSL, Portland gets this moment late from Kamal Miller once again. Tony Husband, Ross Smith on the call, thanks to our friends at Apple TV and Major League Soccer.
That was Agata with a head to him. Drops for Sermon. Lassiter now. Chips it. Back post unmarked and in from Kamal Miller. Is that the goal that sends them through?
Credit to the Timbers because they fight for that second opportunity. Watch Sermon and Cruz. Shoulder to shoulder. Cruz wants a foul. He's got to be stronger than that. And that allows the ball from Lassiter into Miller. As he crept into an offside position, as Glad is the deepest man along that RSL back line. Oh, that'll be tight. But it's thunders from Miller at the back stick.
Tony Husband, Ross Smith on MLS Season Pass and Apple TV. And, yeah, it was 3-1. If you look at the play, particularly with Kamal Miller, off of the corner, Miller is at the near post, and he loses the joust with, I think it was Justin Glad, as a matter of fact. And so the ball goes outside the 18, and it gets recycled. Miller kind of lingers there at the far post. He didn't really move a whole lot. He might have moved like 5 or 6 feet. And he put himself in a position where he kind of got lost in traffic. Everybody was kind of focused on the ball and the possible entry. And Miller was right there at the far post on the recycle. And Justin Glad was maybe, 2 or 3 yards away from him. And so Miller, who was slightly onside, there was the one shot from the slash. You sit there and you look at Miller and you're like, okay, initial thought, is he offside? Is he not? No, he was onside, good half a body length. And so he slams it home, and it's 3-1 your final. So Portland moves on, and and Chicago moves on into the round of 8s coming up this weekend. And so the schedule, when it comes to the matches in and of themselves, once again, tomorrow it's Messi and Friends in Nashville. That's at 8 o'clock. And in the South, you're going up against high school football, but okay, and some college football as well. But 8:12, I'm going to go ahead and say 8:12 Eastern, because I think there's been another 2 minutes of pregame added for the postseason. So 8:12, this is on FS1 and Fox, so it's probably 8:20 or 8:25. So FS1, Fox Deportes, Apple season pass. That's the FS1 game, so it's probably 8:20, 8:25-ish instead. So Messi and Friends in Nashville, that's tomorrow. Then on Sunday, because you don't want to mess with college football on Saturday, and so you get most of the matches, you get most of the games out of the way for pro on Sunday. Philadelphia, Chicago, that one is listed at 5:30, but it's on FS1 Fox Deportes, so that means probably 10 to 6 or 5 to 6 Eastern time at Subaru Park. Then the others, you get your 12 minutes added. Vancouver and Dallas at 7:42 Eastern time, with Vancouver hosting at BC Place. They're opening the upper deck. And then San Diego and Portland, your 1-8. That's going to be at 9:42 at the Murph Dragon. And that'll be on MLS Season Pass and Apple TV. So that's on Sunday. Nothing Saturday. The marquee matchup on FS1, Fox Deportes, Apple, that's on Friday night at 8:20, 25-ish, somewhere in there on Friday night. So that's the rundown, getting us into the weekend and the 4 matches that are there, because then you have on Monday, you have the one matchup at 6:45, which at 6:45, is that a true 6:45 because it's FS1 and Fox Deportes, or are they carrying it over to 6:50, 6:55, or is 6:45 airtime and you go another 20 minutes? I'm thoroughly confused. So that makes it like 7:05-ish. If it's at 9 o'clock, 6:45 might actually be the true time. Minnesota-Seattle's the late game, and that's going to be at like 9:20 maybe if it's FS1 Fox Deportes there too. So you've got 2 FS1 doubleheaders. The 2 matches FS1 doubleheader Monday. You've got the 1 match on Tuesday. You've got the 1 match on Wednesday. And then everybody picks up with their match day 2s on November 1st, where it is 5 matches on Saturday, November 1st. 2 of them simultaneously out west. But you navigate the week, 1 on Wednesday, 1 on Tuesday, 2 on Monday, 3 on Sunday, nothing Saturday, and the 1 tomorrow night, where it is at the Erector Set in South Florida. So that's your rundown of everything in Major League Soccer. And now with all of that done, we got to get you into today. And like I said, coming up 10 o'clock, Nino, Torres, GOLTV, fully loaded. We're going to tour South America. We're going to tour Europe as well. We'll get you there with the European stuff and the South America. We'll get that with Nino, and then we'll go over MLS in depth with Niko Moreno coming up last half hour of the show. So let's get you prepared for today. And traditionally, the Thursday activity is Europa and Europa Conference League, which means you've got like 9 gazillion games going on. And it's not, I don't think I'm far from the truth here. So Europa League, you've got 18 matches going on. All of them today. I'm not kidding. You're in the league phase in Europa League. So let's see if we can go through these in a decent amount of time, so we're not like talking about this in Conference League going all the way into like 10:20 Eastern. So here we go. Let me give you just favorites here. Half of them are at 12:45. This is Europa League. Braga -108 hosting Red Star. Braun plus 106 hosting Rangers. Rangers is a mess. We know this. Danny Roll, I think this is his first match as new manager. His hair will probably remain tall and perfect. Bologna minus 161 at FCSB. They, by the way, are plus 463. Fenerbahce, slight favorite at home, plus 147 on hosting Stuttgart. Aston Villa minus 263 on the road at GA Eagles. Then it is Genk, an underdog at home to Real Betis at a plus 118. Genk a plus 211. Lyon, big favorite, minus 189 hosting Basel. Salzburg, slight favorite at home at a plus 120 hosting Ferencváros. 3 o'clock. It is Roma, minus 303 hosting Victoria Pilsen at a plus 761. Celta de Vigo, minus 135 hosting Nice. Celtic, minus 217 hosting Sturm Graz. Feyenoord, minus 196 hosting Panathinaikos. Freiburg, minus 204 hosting Utrecht. Lille, minus 185 hosting PAOK. Maccabi Tel Aviv and Midtjylland. Midtjylland is favored on the road at a plus 124, and Maccabi Tel Aviv is playing their home matches at a different stadium, TSC Arena, by the way. Malmo, dog at home to Dinamo Zagreb at a plus 137. Nottingham Forest, slight favorite at home. Welcome, Ange not Ange. Who's the new coach at Forest? I'm blanking out here all of a sudden. Oh, Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche at plus 163. That changed while I was trying to figure out Sean Dyche's name. Favored at home against Porto. I'm going against that. I'm going draw to plus 218. And then Young Boys minus 120 at home hosting Ludogorets at a plus 321. So that's the 18 matches in Europa League. So now in Conference League, once again, you got how many? You got 3, 6. So you've got 10 at 12:45, 8 at 3 o'clock. So let's see if I can get through these just as quickly. AEK Athens favored, big favorite against Aberdeen on minus 345. AZ Alkmaar minus 333 hosting Slovan Bratislava. Breidablik at a plus 110 hosting KUPS. Different stadium is hosting that match. Omonia Nicosia out of Cyprus favored on the road at Drita. It is Hacken, a dog at home to Rayo Vallecano at a minus 119. Fiorentina plus 114 at SK Rapid Vienna. Sparta Prague plus 116 at Rijeka. Shakhtar Donetsk is playing in a different stadium, obviously. Stadium Miejski in Poland. Henryka Reimana hosting Legia Warsaw. Interesting subplot there. Home match in a stadium in Poland going up against Legia Warsaw. Donetsk at minus 122. Skrzynja is a minus 101 hosting Shelburne at a plus 274 at the National Arena Toshe Proski. Strasbourg, a minus 233, hosting Jagiellonia Bialystok. Crystal Palace, big favorite, a minus 556 against AEK Larnaca. Cyprus, once again, plus 1415. Lausanne, a minus 152 at Hamrun. Lech Poznan, a minus 417 at Lincoln Red Imps. And I think they get to play in the stadium at Gibraltar, which is really, really cool. Mainz, minus 500, hosting Zrinski. Samsunspor, even money, hosting Dynamo Kiev. Shamrock Rovers, a dog, hosting Celje at a plus 108. Sigma Olomouc, a dog against Rako Shestakova at a plus 143. And University Craiova, minus 114, hosting Noah. So that wasn't too bad. All right, so basically you've got 19 matches at 12:45. You've got 17 matches at 3 o'clock, 36 matches, Europa League, Conference League. Catch your breath and make sure that you enjoy all of that stuff, because that's going to be a very, 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 very busy day. For those of you that want to be in your homes and you're just kind of like chilling, I would probably just go to Golasso, basically. Just go to what Niko Cantor is going to be doing on Golasso Network, because there's no way to keep up with 19 at 12:45 and 17 at 3 o'clock. That's your numbers. Just watch Golasso. They'll do it. They'll take care of it. They will take care of it. Thursday, once again, BNBN Español. Sudamericana is at 6. Universidad de Chile and Lanús. Guess what we're going to be talking to Nino about? El de Quito and Palmeiras in the Libertadores semis. And that one's 8:30. BNN Español simulcast. You can get that at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Last night in Rossing's match, Santi Sosa, and the picture's out there, ruled out for the second leg against Palmeiras after getting a facial fracture in a late collision with Marcos Rojo. And Golazo Argentino, a huge blow for Racing aside from the goals of Maravilla Martinez, La Academia's most important player. There's a picture of Santi Sosa from last night after contact, and they're trying to make sure that he is going to how do we phrase this? That he is going to hang with us, because you look at Santi Sosa, and if you were to ask him what his name is, he would tell you purple. You look at that picture. Golazo Argentino has it on Twitter. Santi looked like, after the contact with Marcos Rojo, he got knocked into next week. And so, facial fracture. And he looked, and Jason had mentioned it in our production chat last night, that after the collision, Santi got absolutely wrecked. And the answer is yes, he did. So obviously you wish the best for Santi Sosa, but that was a nasty collision with Marcos Rojo. And the still from the photographer on the pitch side at the match for Racing last night got the money shot. It's uncomfortable. It is an uncomfortable shot staring at Santi Sosa after he collides with Marcos Rojo. But a facial fracture is now what has been diagnosed for Santi Sosa, and he is out for leg number 2. Now, like I said, obviously we'll catch up with Nino Torres and find out more about that coming up in a bit. Fox Deportes has the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. 2 o'clock. Paramount Plus. You can pick your match. Once again, all 36 of them are available. 19 at 12:45, 17 at 3 o'clock. Just watch Golazo. You'll be fine. International friendly for the U.S. is tonight. USA and Portugal's at 7 o'clock. It's on TNT, HBO Max, and Peacock. That is the biggest item on the board on the women's side tonight. Looking at college, pretty light night on the men's side. Everything's out west, Big West, and WAC. Women's action, it's a very, very busy day on the women's side of things. Florida State and Virginia is at 6 o'clock on ACC Network. Leading into that, you've got a couple of matchups in the MAC, and you've got some in the Missouri Valley. Also, you've got more action. You've got the American. You have the A10. You've got more in the ACC. ACC Extra is going to be very, very busy. Iowa State and West Virginia on the women's side is at 7 o'clock. You've got more in the Sun Belt. You've got more in the Missouri Valley. You've got more in the A10. You've got more in the ACC. Carrying you into the 8 o'clock hours, Southland is there. Ohio Valley is there. Big 12 is there. UAC is there. Southland is there. Division 2 is there. Back to the American at 8 o'clock on ESPN+. Big West is available at 9 o'clock. Big 12 is available at 9 o'clock. More Big West, more Big 12, more stuff out west once again through 9 and 10 o'clock, your late start. So it's on the women's side, it starts at 3, goes all the way to 10 o'clock kicks, and it's from one end of the country to the other, just the 2 matches out west on the men's side. And that's at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. So ESPN+, ACC Network, ACC Extra, and I'm trying to see if there's anything on the mothership of ESPN or if it's just on the Plus. ACC Network's back end of the doubleheader is Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. That is at 8. And so doubleheader ACC Network, a lot on ACC Extra, and then there's a lot on ESPN+. Now, we mentioned the women's friendly that is going on. Once again, Subaru Park, Alex Morgan's going to be honored in advance of the friendly against Portugal. And obviously, that'll be a big night for Alex Morgan. And it was 2 World Cup titles, NWSL championships, gold medal. And you had her time with the USWNT, proven goal scorer at Cal, 2008 U20 Women's World Cup, won in the final, and began her run in the USWNT in front of 2,500 folks at PPL Park, August 6th of 2010. 1-1 draw with China. So everything comes full circle for Alex Morgan tonight in that matchup with the U.S. and Portugal. And you had in that lineup Wambach, Lilly, Rampone, Shannon Box, Morgan, Rapinoe, Lauren Cheney, Amy Rodriguez. And so you had that crossover. And so it's a full circle moment for Alex Morgan tonight if you are in front of your television and you can watch there as well. Now, a couple of retirements in USL Championship. Rodrigo Lopez is retiring after a 21-year pro career at the end of this season with Sac Republic. And Leo Fernandez, 13 years in the USL Championship. He's retiring after this season with his time with Tampa Bay Rowdies. So very, very cool stuff there. Let's see. Under women, USA cruised to a knockout stage 5-2 win over China. And catching us up there, it was 2 goals from Lauren Malsom. We are efforting Lauren Malsom, by the way. We wanted to do this before the tournament started, but she was already over in Morocco. So we're having to track her down, and we are still in the process of doing so. 2 goals from Lauren Malcolm, Florida State midfielder Yanya Toure, and 1 from Maddie DiMaria, Gatorade National Girls Soccer Player of the Year as a sophomore at Missouri's Court Jesu Academy. And so 5-2 on the board. And the U.S. continues to roll in the tournament in Portugal in the U17s Women's World Cup. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I've missed. Oh, I don't know if we covered this or not. Fox is going to be airing 69 World Cup matches in the tournament next year. So it was more than doubling the number of matches they showed on linear television back in 2022. The remaining 35 games are going to be on FS1, streaming live on both of their apps. 340 hours of first-run programming around the tournament, expanded to 48 teams. U.S., Canada, Mexico hosting June 11 through June 19. Draw December 5th, and we're going wall-to-wall for that. But it looks like Fox is going to be going, all over the place when it comes to airing the tournament in 2026. 6th World Cup for Big FOX. Men in 2018 and in 22, women's tournaments 15, 19, and 23. So this is the last year of the Fox deal with FIFA. This is also something to keep in mind. No announcement has been made about American media rights for the tournament 2030 in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. Uruguay, Argentina, Paraguay hosting 1 game in the tournament as well, since it's the centennial. Netflix has secured the rights to the next 2 FIFA Women's World Cup tournaments, 27 and 31. Brazil in 27, U.S. in 31. Mexico, Costa Rica, Jamaica will be having matches there as well, expected to be approved once again in Vancouver in April of 26. And so you wonder if Netflix would partner with an over-the-air broadcaster for that one. Don't really know. But right now, you got to wonder what Big FOX is going to do with the tournament. Are they going to continue to bid, or are they going to pull back? And is it going to be something for Netflix and another one of those providers that is one of those folks that you got to pay for it, and then you might have to pay something else on top of it. So we'll see what happens there. But that is the official rundown of what Fox is going to be doing. They're going to be blowing up their coverage, showing a lot of games over the air TV, the others on FS1, but a lot of their activity over the air coming up in 2020 and 2026 for the tournament. So looking forward to seeing how that continues to grow and evolve as well. Let me say hi to everybody. Morning, Alex. Morning, Abby. Michael, if I remember correctly, let me hydrate here for a second. Hang on. Michael says, if I remember correctly, Atlanta United played the first of 3-game series last year on 1-day rest. Why do Chicago and Portland get 3 days rest? Because of TV. If also a 3-game series. Let me go back to the 24 schedule. Let me go back to the 24. 24 was last year, John. 2024 MLS playoff schedule. Let me see. But I mean, the bottom line is, Michael, it's television. If the folks that are the networks that are in charge, if they are the ones that want to see it, then they're going to be the ones to figure out when it's going to be done. So let's see. So wild card, you had Atlanta beating CF Montreal. Then you go to the matchup in round 1 involving. Okay, so here we go. So they played on the 22nd. Then they go to 25th. So it was 2 days rest. You were right there. So 2 days rest for game number 1 when it came to Messi and friends in Atlanta United. So you play in Montreal on the 22nd. You come home the 23rd. You fly down the 24th. You're playing on the 25th. But the bottom line is television. if the TV partner wants to run something and they have their window, they're going to, and the fact that it was going up against Messi and friends, that's the other part of this. It's that you want that marquee matchup. You want that team that's attached to it. And so wherever you can slide them in and have them as your priority viewing, doesn't matter really what the opponent had to go through the wild card round. You kind of knew what you were getting into, but it was 2 days rest. And really, most of it was travel because I think, if I remember correctly, Mike and Jason and the team flew back after the match. So they got in very early in the morning of the 23rd. Maybe some regen, maybe some, work in the weight room or what have you, light practice, maybe a kickabout in the afternoon. And then you're hopping on a flight the 24th to go down to Fort Lauderdale for the matchup. But if the TV partner legitimately wants Messi and friends on the tube, then they're going to get Messi and friends on the tube. And whoever the opponent is just going to kind of have to sit there and go, well, that's what we signed up for. And, so, you're looking for ratings. You're looking at matchups. And so it was 2 days rest. Most of it was on a plane. And you end up going down to Fort Lauderdale and losing 2-1 after being tied at 1, and then Jordi Alba scored with 30 minutes to go. But yeah, 2 days rest technically, and most of that was on plane. So, but yeah, it's all up to the TV partners and trying to determine their matchups, because in the Eastern Conference, the matchup on the 25th was the only matchup that night, because then you had LA and Colorado. On the 26th, you had LAFC and Vancouver on the 27th. You had Orlando and Charlotte on the 27th. You had Cincinnati and NYCFC on the 28th. And then you had Crew and Red Bulls on the 29th. So that's kind of where you are. You're filling out a grid, and you want Messi and friends as your primary as much as humanly possible. We want to start things off October 25th. At 8:30 Eastern time, and you're coming around from one end to the other. That's your primary, and you plug them into the slot. That's what the TV partner wants. That's what the TV partner gets. That's why they pay all that money in the first place. But so that was where it was. That's why it was. It was because literally 2 days rest, most of it on a plane, and then playing 3 calendar days later, 22nd to the 25th. But it's because of the TV partner. Yeah, Alex. Alex says it looked like it was cold last night. Yeah, space heaters in the end. Yeah, Section 8, they were having fun. And Alex, you are correct. It should have been 8-2. It should have been 8-2. It was that bad. And to the point, like I said, morning, Dr. D, that you're like, okay, you're going, man, it's just you win one of your last 8. If you're Orlando, if you're one of your last 8, you fade into the playoffs and you get bounced. It was 3-1. It should have been worse. It really should have been worse. I wonder what the conversations are going to be like. Is this going to be a conversation they have in Central Florida about the future of Oscar Pareja? We all know he is a good coach. That is without fear or parallel. He's a good coach in Major League Soccer. But is losing one of 8 and being taken out to the woodshed in the 8-9 game, is that enough to try and figure out how to retool things in Central Florida? That's the question I have. And I'm fairly certain that we probably would have had the same discussion in Portland if Portland had lost last night. But Portland took care of business and they advanced. The 8s advance at home. But yeah, the slow fade that you had with the purple team, I got questions. And I don't know if I'm the only one or not. Will. And then Andrew Gutman got a yellow last night. Yeah, he was trouble for the purple team. And Will, Gio's on the list. Will's wondering about the next manager for Atlanta United. I mean, Gio should be on that short list. Gio should be on the short list. And it's, you've got how adventurous do you want to go? Do you chase after somebody like an Ange Postecoglou? Do you kick the tires on somebody like that? Do you go after a Hugo Perez? Do you go after, like I said, Gio to me is on the list. Vanni Sartini with what he was able to do in Vancouver. I mean, the list, it depends on what direction you want to go. And you know that Atlanta United is not going to sit there and pin everything down into just, okay, we're going to go down this aisle of the store. We're here to shop for one thing and one thing only. No, that's not how Atlanta United is going to work. They're going to work the entire grocery store. They're going to go down the frozen food aisle. They're going to go into the produce section. They're going to go to the deli. They're going to go and, they're going to go down and get sodas and things like that. They're not just looking for the one thing that they came to get on a shopping list. No, they're going to go down whatever aisle they think they need to go down. If they're going to go for the big swing, they go for the big swing. Like I said, Ange Postecoglou is out there. Do you go for someone who's more knowledgeable and in with Major League Soccer and go for a Sartini or a Savarese or something like that? Those are the questions out there. I don't think that you can hold yourself into just one idea of what you want for a head coach. What does that person bring to the table? What do they want to do when it comes to philosophy? How do they want to do things when it comes to academy? All the three-dimensional questions that you've got to ask. But I don't think you're going to pin yourself down to like one type of coach, just one guy. We need someone with X number of years of experience. We need someone who knows how to do this, knows how to do this, and this. That's the person that we're looking for. You can't pin yourself into that particular idea. So I don't think they're going to. So, so that's what you're hunting for, and just keep an open mind in this. Timeline, Will, I don't know. Will's asking about the timeline. And I mean, do you want to see what happens through the playoffs? I mean, remember that Ronny Deila was named in December. He was named in early to mid-December. So is that what you're looking for? So you can go in and have a runway into training camp because of the deadlines when it comes to players and free agents and things like that. Do you want to have them in place by that timeline so you can sit there and look at everything? I would imagine. Then right after MLS Cup, you want to do something there. I don't think you want to, even if you have your coach in line, I don't think you want to sit there and do anything yet. Because literally the season just ended and we're now in the postseason. So give yourself a little bit of time to sit there, maybe take the month of November, sit there and look and see if the people that you're interested in are going to knock on your door. Maybe you have a Zoom call or something with them and their representation. But remember, it was after MLS Cup that Ronny Deila was named. So you try to do something there, get you ready for, training camp 6 weeks later and things like that. That would be my baseline, somewhere in that. So, keep it 6 weeks. You're going to be kicking the tires on folks. You're going to be asking folks for availability. Is this individual, do you want to be interviewed? So I would probably say 6 weeks or so. And it'll be something that we'll be talking about a lot. Don't get me wrong. But who's interested? Who might be interested? Who's not interested? Someone turned them down. Someone said yes. Is there a second interview? When are they coming in? Are they coming in? Is it going to be virtual? What have you? You're going to want to tour the facility. You're going to want to sit there and take the walk and go, okay, here's what's going on. Here's our new addition, all the things. So I would use 6 weeks as a baseline. Just after MLS Cup, maybe you want to make an announcement like they did last time. So that to me is what you're looking at. Something in that timeline. But you're going to hear a lot of names. I mean, Jason on AST had a list of 11, I want to say. And I mean the list that he had. Let me see if I can find that list from AST really quickly. So let me see if I can go back to Tuesday and see if because he had the list, and it was, where are we here? So I'm trying to figure out what day we're on. So today is Thursday, so we need to go back to Tuesday. Okay, so here was Jason's list. Martin Anselmi, who's at Porto. Gio Savarese, Pellegrino Matarazzo, Ante Razov, who is right now the number 2 at LAFC. And you don't know if you're Ante Razov, if the new guy who's going to come in is going to want to keep you. So Razov might be looking for a for a gig. Laurent Courtois, who was let go at CF Montreal. Jorge Almiron from Colo Colo. Hugo Perez, El Salvador national team 21 to 23. Vanni Sartini, Josh Wolf, Tata, and Rob. That was Jason's short list that he had on Atlanta Soccer Tonight a couple days ago. So that is, that's kind of what you're staring at. That is a list. That was Jason's list, looking at the landscape for Atlanta United and what to look at going forward. But like I said, you're going to have, Ange is probably going to be added to the list in some manner. Hey, would you want to come over here to the United States and run a Major League Soccer team? And obviously, Rob and Tata would be on the list for obvious reasons. And so you're probably going to have a list of maybe 15, 16 names. If you take those 11 from Jason, add some guys that would be interested down the line, some folks that might be out of work. Would you take a flyer on an Oscar Pereja if Orlando had said that we've had enough? So I think you're probably going to end up with 16 names, something like that. If you take Jason's 11, you add a couple and maybe a couple more. So you might be somewhere from 20 on a short list / wish list. So that would be my thought, is you take Jason's list, you're going to add some wild cards that you're going to have that are going to be mentioned in the in the papers and in the rumors and on all the rags and things like that, and all the dailies. The 3 and the 4 letter, I'm sure that they'll probably have their versions of what you're looking at for Atlanta United and their new manager. But yeah, I would say baseline 6 weeks. And then go from there and work forward, and you'll have your list from now. You might add some folks, you might pull some folks off. Some folks won't be interested. They'll say so publicly, and you go forward. So I would say 6 weeks as a baseline. If you said December 10th, considering that was the last hire, then that's what you're looking at. And Abby is discussing the ideas of viewers and viewership, and it sucks. It still seems to be what's best for Messi. I mean, he's driving it right now. I mean, if you have one of the top talents in the world, and I know that it does get tiresome, but right now a lot of folks are gravitated to it. A lot of folks want to watch him. A lot of folks want to sit there and go, here's the deal. You have the last ride for some of the greatest talents that have been across the planet in Sergi Busquets and Jordi Alba. You're naturally going to be gravitated to that storyline. Morning, David. So a lot of folks are going to be gravitated to that storyline. You're trying to draw in the people for the first time and keep them under the tent. So I understand the programming aspect of it. But yeah, it's going to be, is Messi and friends, are the end friends going to get their trophy that they've been trying to search for all of this time? You sit here, we can write it right now. Is this the year finally that Messi and friends break through and they win MLS Cup? I don't think so. I still think it's going to be LAFC. But it's going to be a hell of a final if it ends up that way. Bouanga, Son, Messi, Alba, Busquets. Brother, that could be some heavyweight stuff coming up in a bit. All right, it is hour number 2. Hour number two, which means we go. Oh, he's got his artwork up. Okay, I see. All right, so it's time to go fully loaded. We waste no time. We go down to Lima, Peru, and find out what's going on with our buddy Nino Torres and GOLTV. Yellow. How are you?
I'm so happy, as you can tell, brother. Look at that. I mean, look at this artwork. Isn't that beautiful, brother? Isn't
Yeah,
that beautiful?
yeah.
Man, I love it, man. I love it. I'm absolutely happy with this. And the Universitario is coming in today.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to have that one on here. I got United on this side, Universitario on the other side. And I'm complete, man. The circle is complete. So ready to roll here on Fully Loaded, baby.
Mm-hmm. And now I have the topics. I have not seen them. It's that's what we do, so that way we can have fun and we can go through everything. And I know a couple of topics I figured we would be discussing. One of the topics that I have, once again, I haven't seen your list, and so if it's on the list, I'll go to the front of the line. Because of what happened with Rossing and what happened last night, we're keeping an eye on Santi Sosa because his collision with Marcus Rojo, and the picture is out. It was a nasty collision. So Santi Sosa out for the second leg because of a facial fracture.
I know.
That was nasty, man. But yeah, and so that was crazy stuff. But once again, you're chasing after a cup. No surprise.
Again, it's of course it's in the topics,
Rossing, Libertadores Star Cards, got it right there. Topic number 2.
Yeah. I watched the game, and it was crazy because I watched the game here at home, and I got my high school reunion last night.
Oh.
So I watched the second half on the taxi, on the cab. I was watching the second half on the cab, and it's just nobody. I mean, it's rare that for teams in CONMEBOL to walk out of the Maracanã with that little small margin that they walk out yesterday, Racing, and they're gonna close it at the Cilindro in Buenos Aires, and I think my prediction. I'm not thinking. I'm certain now that my predictions of the dark horse Racing Club will be playing in the finals of the Copa Libertadores. They have all the weapons. I know Santi Sosa, I know, but they have all the weapons that this is the only team that it could take down the Brazilians. Now the other only team, there's 2 teams only, right? Liga de Quito with the best defense in the tournament, and Racing Club because they have the X factor, they have the badge, they have the people, they have the inspiration, they have Maravilla Martinez on leading the offense. They have the power, enough power to take down the Brazilians, and not conceding more than 1 goal last night at the Maracanã. Cambese was superb. He was Superman last night, man. He was Superman. He stopped those shots from Samilino, and when he stopped that one, it's like, nothing's gonna go in. But in the end, all the pressure, they keep coming and coming in Flamengo. So they walk out with only 1 goal, and that might be the Achilles issue here for Flamengo, not getting more than 1 goal. I don't know if they're gonna get. I don't think they're gonna get more than 1 in Buenos Aires. I don't think they're gonna get more than 1 goal in Buenos Aires. I'm almost guaranteed that. I can't guarantee. You can't guarantee things in life, right?
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee that Flamengo won't score more than 1 goal in El Cilindro, and Racing Club is gonna advance probably in a penalty shootout. I'm thinking 2-1 in Buenos Aires for Racing, going to penalties, and Racing advancing into the finals. His second final in CONMEBOL, winning the Sudamericana last year and winning the Libertadores this year. It's gonna be for the ages, brother. For the ages. This run with Gustavo Costas and his beloved Racing Club in CONMEBOL. Amazing.
Tonight is the other playoff with Liga de Quito and Palmeiras.
Give me the numbers. Give me the numbers, please.
All right. And this is just the match number. This is not the series number. Palmeiras is a plus 147. Liga de Quito a plus 217. So they're a dog at home. And, and your draw is a plus 193 in the composite.
Oh, it's so tight. You see, it's so tight, brother. It's not like the Palmeiras is on. No. It's right there. Last night, Racing was Racing was at 8. 8 was paying 8. Of course, I put money down and I lost, but I don't care. I don't care because I was like, I was one of those nights. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go for it because then you're gonna forget. You're gonna find yourself because why you didn't put money on? I was okay. I'm gonna put money down today. Well, I lost it. It is what it is. It's part of the game,
I mean, last night Flamengo was a minus 278. So, you figured they were going to be a heavy favorite. They were. Racing was a plus 867 to win in 90 minutes last night.
When I put the money down, it was 950.
Wow.
950 because it was only like 5 minutes into the game. I was like, 950. Oh, damn. Because and there were a couple of options there for Racing. I was like, really? Okay. This is going to happen. They were close. They were close, huh? But they were close.
Yep. 90-minute draw was a plus 341. So that was what we're staring at. Okay, so we've got a couple of Universitario things. Let's go to topic number 1. Let's go to South. Let's go to Portugal. Benfica. Yeah, and let's see. So traditionally, their coach, their current coach, he's known for one particular number, and he always likes to mention that number. Three titles. I win 3 titles. So I mention that because you have here. He is 0 for 3 in Champions. What needs to be done? The answer might come this Saturday. So please, sir, what in the wide world of sports are you talking about?
First, there's a lot of concern in Benfica because Moreno arrived. They're supposed to get things better for the Eagles, but things are not going that well under Jose, the special one. He's yet to figure out the best formation or the best players to play in which position. But that's not the issue here. There's a big situation in Benfica with Rui Costa, the president, because elections are this Saturday. Election day in Benfica this Saturday, and there's a lot of people not happy with Rui Costa. So that might change. It might change. I don't think the new president is gonna change the coach right away. Right? You just hire a new coach. You just fire another coach. You're gonna get another coach, and then the 3 coaches in one season. It usually doesn't work. When you get 3 coaches in one season, it usually doesn't work.
No.
All right. So but I don't know. If Mourinho is gonna turn things around, but he needs to do it quick. Because this is not only about the losses in Champions League, Johnny. It's about the priorities that they're losing, right? Because the more games you lose in the Champions League, you go into the charge and you keep losing spots for Champions League. All right. So there used to be 3. They lost 1. So there's only two spots for Portugal. Of course, the playoff. Whoever wins the playoff gets the 3rd one. But they don't get 3. They get 2 now. They lost it to the Eredivisie. But the good news is the what's the I think it's AC Alkmaar on the you got the what is it, the Champions League ranking right now.
I will
at the bottom is Benfica. I think it's AC Alkmaar, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I probably really wrong. I don't know.
I'll dig it up. Keep going. You're on a roll.
So that's the thing, right? You need to still keep winning games, and advancing is for Portugal is crucial to advance into the knockout stage, and the teams from the Eredivisie to stay in the group stage. Well, not group stage, the first round of the competition in the Champions League. So they're going toe to toe, and if you lose games, you lose your spot, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Hopefully, they bounce back, but you gotta play Real Madrid, you gotta play Chelsea, you gotta play Liverpool. I don't know how many points are they gonna get. I don't know if they're gonna crack the top 24 in this Champions League edition, because the teams that are winning, they're winning big. I mean, they're blowing out rivals. You see in games like 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals. It's insane. So not getting a single point in your first 3 rounds and not facing yet the top dogs of the competition, that takes your chances a little bit down to the,
Right now they are, and this until you mentioned this, I didn't realize this. Ajax is below them at 36.
Oh, Ajax, there you go.
Ajax has only scored 1 goal in their first 3 matches. They got a goal difference of -10. Kairat Almaty has a point. Paphos of Cyprus has 2 points. Slavia Prague has 2 points. Monaco, Bodo Glimt's got 2 points. Royal Union got the win in round number 1. So they got. I mean, you got some work to do right now. The first 3 matches right now, 3 points is the marker for 24th, and goal difference is a -6.
And those are the teams that you got to beat. Slavia, Prague, all those teams you got to beat all those. But you still got to face the top 10. So that's 10 games that you won't get. I don't know. Out of 30 points, I would say they get 10.
Yeah. And so you got to wonder what 24th is going to look like. But yeah, the next matchup for Benfica, by the way, November 5th against Bayer Leverkusen, and it's at home. So Bayer Leverkusen.
I want to say it is accessible. It is not scary.
No,
it's not scary. It would have been a different story if they playing in Germany, because they're never won in Germany. But when playing in Lisbon, it's doable. It's doable. Yeah. They might get the first 3 points of the season in the Champions League in that game.
Okay, let's go to Peru, and you got 2 topics here: Universitario and Cristal, the title decider Clásico tonight. Wait, what? We got a title decider tonight?
It's tonight, brother. It's tonight. Tonight. Well, not technically, not title decider yet, but if they win. Okay. If Universitario Deportes wins, they will get 10 points clear of Cusco. 10 with 3 to go. I think it's 3 to go.
Yes,
9 points to go.
So Binacional knocked them out 18, so 17. So you'd have 17. You'd have 3 to go. Yeah,
3 to go. 10 points with 3 to go.
And Cusco's got to keep the beat. They've got Grau this weekend.
I mean, in order for Universitario to not win this Clausura, they'll have to lose all 3. And they haven't lost a single game in like forever. It's 6 games in a row that they just won. 6 games in a row. So, but in that span of 6 victories in a row for Universitario Deportes, Cusco dropped it 3 times. 3 times. Alianza Lima lost. Cristal lost. Everybody. Garcilaso lost. They were not. At one point, there were 3 undefeated teams in the competition. It was Universitario, Garcilaso, and Cusco. But then Cusco and Garcilaso play against each other, so they knock each other out. And it was just everything was lining up. Everything has been lining up for Universitario to win this unprecedented second three-peat. No one has 2 three-peats in the history of Peruvian soccer.
Crazy.
And Universitario Deportes is on the verge of getting that one. And if you and this is this is not delusional. This is not Universitario Deportes fan Nino talking.
It's not delusional, he says.
No, all right, but if things keep going the way they're going, and Universitario is only getting stronger.
Yes.
There might be a 4th title in a row next year.
Okay.
It's the chances. I want to say they have 87.5% chances of winning.
7/8 chance.
Yeah, of winning the next year, and everybody in Peru, the presence of Cristal, of Alianza Lima, they're saying, "Oh no, Cristal has all lined up because Ferrari is now in the Peruvian Soccer Federation." That they're getting their calendar fixed. bro, they're playing 3 games in 1 week.
Mm.
They play on Monday night. They're playing Thursday night tonight, and they're playing on Sunday.
Mm.
So 3 games in 7 days.
Mm.
In the media, right? The media, because I watch all the media, I watch everything, read everything, and they were like, "Oh, so they were on a Sunday night, one of the primetime shows that are here in Peru, and Universidad Deportes is playing 3 games in 1 week. That's a lot," said one of the pundits who is a former player. And the main guy said, "Really? Is that much? I don't think so." Okay, brother. All right. Okay. Maybe
Well-
that's why you quit playing soccer. You were just an average center back in the day that you never played that many games in a row. So maybe that's why it's not that much for you. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, Nino.
So they're favored tonight at Sporting Cristal. They are a plus 127. So you get a favorite on the road on a plus at a plus 127 tonight. Sporting Cristal is a dog. They're at a plus 245. Sunday, by the way, the 4:30 Eastern match at AD Tarma. They're a dog.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Tarma is the toughest destination in the Liga Uno.
Okay.
We don't know why exactly. I think because they're sitting in a valley. It's more humid. The altitude, the oxygen. I don't know. Because there's many other places in Peru. Because remember, out of the 19, now 17, because of one of the teams were relegated.
Yeah.
So 12 cities in the altitude. You gotta make 12 trips to the mountains. 10,000, 12,000, 13,000 feet above the sea level. But this one here, Tarma, for some reason, takes the toughest toll on players. Everybody who goes there, it feels different. It feels heavier than other cities that are even higher than Tarma. But this one, for some reason, it has an impact on players that coming from the coast big time. So when Tarma gets there, you see second halves, man, but 60th minute. Everybody say, "Can I get an oxygen tank here, please?" I don't have any more.
Wow.
I don't have any more in my tank. So yeah, it's in. And the last time that the Universidad went there, they lost. And every time that we go there, it's rough. It's absolutely rough. So we'll see what happens there in Tarma. But oh my, there's a game, right? 1998. There was another team from the mountains, Unión Minas. That one was the toughest of all the cities in Peru. That was the Cerro de Pasco. That's the altitude. It was muddy, rainy, with hail, and this guy Betito Carranza made a run, 45 yards, carrying the ball, scores the goal winner, and then lays flat on the ground.
I'm
They
out.
came with the oxygen tanks, and then all he was asking, the cameras were on him. Right? Did I score? Yes, you did. Yeah, give me that thing. Did I score? Yes, you did. Yeah, and that day, when Universidad Deportes won the championship, the first of the three-peat of that 98, 99, 2000 titles for Universitario in the altitude. One more time. Let's get it done.
And if you find the photos of Estadio Unión Tarma, it is gorgeous. I mean,
It is beautiful. Yes, it is.
But it's a pain in the what to go play there.
It is insane.
What is this about the Mariano Rivera, the closer? What's this? What's going to the pen? What's this about?
It's because it's not Mariano Rivera, of course, but it's Jose El Tunche Rivera.
Okay.
Which is our striker who sits on the bench. He is the best 12th man in the Liga Uno. Okay. All right. He's our closer. Okay. He's our Mariano Rivera. All right. He's our Mariano Rivera. He comes in the 7th inning. The game's on the line. and he just closes. He scored 11 goals this season, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give you the insights of this. In 97 games, he scored 25 goals, right? But 17 of those 10 goals, 17 of those 25 that he scored, he scored from the bench. All right, coming off the bench. Look at this one. 10 of those 17 from the minute 85th and over. Between the 85th and the 95th minute, this guy scored 10 goals this season. Closing games, winning games, like this one on Monday night against Ayacucho, who's fighting for survival in the Liga Uno. And they were they putting players down. Everybody was having cramps at the same time, Johnny. You see the players laying down on the ground. 4 players for Ayacucho. Oh, I got a cramp. Hey, I got a cramp too. Hey, you too? Yeah, okay. And the referee was like, so you got cramps. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 minutes each.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, baby. 8 minutes of injury time.
Wow.
And El Tunche Rivera, our closer, scored in the minute 94th. 94 of those 8 minutes of injury time that they gave because apparently they were all having cramps. But yeah.
Two topics to go.
Yes, sir.
And this one we probably should have put like music and italics and things. Is this or like an echo, like in the old DJ days, when Nino Damas was right. You know, when Nino Damas was right. The Real Madrid edition. Real Madrid did brilliant against Juve. Jude Bellingham gets a goal. Is Bellingham and Arda Güler the pivot to make them going into El Clasico?
Yes, but it's not about the actual team. It's about a player from Real Madrid.
Okay.
Do you remember when this kid, Endrick, right? Endrick, the kid, the 18-year-old from Palmeiras and all the show, paid $50 million for the kid and all that thing, right? When they asked him, hey, who's your favorite player? And he said, Bobby Robson.
Ooh.
Brother, not even your dad watched Bobby Robson play. So don't tell me that you like Bobby Robson because you never saw Bobby Robson play, brother. All right. So that was something that for me, that's a red flag right there.
Oh, okay.
That's a red flag. You want to pretend to be someone that you're not. And when you pretend, when you're not real, when you're not true to yourself, you might have issues. And I was like, I mean, of course, it was just one of those, Amos moments, right? It's just my gut feeling talking to me and the feeling that this kid, he's not going to make it in Real Madrid. And I said it. He's not going to be playing for Real Madrid for long, okay? He's not going to succeed at Real Madrid. I guess what just happened? Xabi Alonso, head coach of Real Madrid, he just gave bad news to the kid. Kid, I don't have you on my plans. You're not on my plans for the year. So you better find another place to play because you're not going to get playing time here in Real Madrid first team.
Ooh.
And they said, okay, all right. So we want to see probably him playing in, I don't know, Girona, Levante, Castilla, which is the second team for Real Madrid. I don't know where he's gonna play, but he's not playing at Real Madrid. He's not playing.
No. I got to figure out how unless he's watching a bunch of YouTube with Bobby Robson. I
know.
Topic last. United Amorim, the turning point finally arrived. So, and that's with a question mark. We were talking about it on Monday night on Soccer Over There with Ruben Amorim and the notes that with Manchester United kind of turning the corner a little bit. We think they're turning the corner. So what do you think? Are they turning said corner, sir?
For the first time since Amorim is in charge, they won back-to-back games for the first time. And people might say, there's just 2 games. But there's not just 2 games, brother. It's not that. It's about getting the job done against Liverpool. It's not about that they beat the Wolves. It's not about the Nottingham Forest. No. They beat Liverpool. All right? It's a Clásico. It's the biggest Clásico in the Premier League. And coming from another victory. and it seems like finally things are working out for Ruben. And it's not about just Amorim, right? It's the players that they need to step up, right? You see Mbumo playing, you got well, Harry Maguire,
I did not have that one on the bingo card, man.
Harry is our.
Did not have the Harry Maguire winner on the bingo card. I did not.
No one. But he's a Lionheart, man. He's a Lionheart. That's what he see. You might have many bloopers from him, right? But when it comes to the big moments, he steps up. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I'm right. I'm really hope I'm right. But I think it is the turning point. I think it's they're finally gonna turn the ship in the right direction for my beloved Red Devils, man. Hopefully so.
Yes, as evidenced by what's going on over your shoulder. What matches are you calling, sir, on GOLTV this weekend? How crammed and jammed are you? Are they giving you the day-night flip doubleheader where you got to call the last one at night and the first one in the morning?
No. It's a kind of chill weekend. Friday night we got Uruguay Defensor versus City Torque. We got Benfica on Saturday, on the same day of the elections. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
And we got Sporting on Sunday. So, I forgot about this. This is all the way down here. The Danubio replay got 9 p.m. on Sunday night. I don't have a game on Monday. So I like this weekend. It's chill. It's chill. I like it.
Just check because we got to keep an eye out here. We got to make sure that these stay in prime condition because doing that last one at night and then the first one of the breakfast in Uruguay matchup, I'm like, no, fam, that's not going to play.
Brother. Yeah. And Johnny, I have a big story for you, but it's gonna be for next week because it's gonna be for next week because in my high school reunion last night, I got a friend of mine who's married to one of the coaches in the Peruvian Soccer Federation. And she gave me some serious insights, brother. Serious, but we'll talk about it next week. I won't forget. Just put them down on because I've run out of topics here, and this is gonna take probably a good 10-minute conversation because stories. It's yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm doing right now in our chat. Don't forget the reunion intel from the wife.
Yes,
there we
brother.
go.
It's big.
All right.
It's big.
There it is. So don't forget the reunion intel from the wife for next week. I love you very much, my friend. We will catch up with you soon. May the pipe stay solid and golden as always. We'll be watching. We'll be listening. We'll be having conversations with you from thousands of miles away through the magic of television. As always, my friend, great to see you. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you, Jenny. See you next week.
There goes Nino Torres. He's fully loaded. And I got to see now. That's a tease. Don't forget the reunion. It's like, don't forget the reunion intel. The wife of one of the coaches in the Fed, she told me stuff at a reunion. That is stuff that you get at a reunion. I'm not kidding. That's some good stuff. Let's see. Last half hour here on a Thursday. We'll bring Jared in as we wait for our friend Niko Moreno from Seattle. So I know we're going to talk playoffs. And did you want to start west to east, or did you want to start east to west, or what other general thoughts do you have before we bring Niko in here in a bit?
No, we can start either one. Do you want to start chronologically, or do you want to start geographically where the sun sets?
Let's go geographically because of let's start with you, meaning you, because the late night, because we'll start out west with what we saw with Portland and RSL, because I think the Pareja question, I brought it up in hour number one, but I think it's just as important, and we'll have the two of you talk about it coming up in a bit when Niko drops in. But Portland, I didn't know what Portland I was going to get, and we got the one that got Kamal Miller on the bingo card. Did not have
you got Kamal Miller, and you got Mora scoring goals. If Mora is going to wake up and do that, then and obviously, like, I don't know if I don't know if you've talked about the potential drama, the telenovela that is unfolding in San Diego.
No, I have not yet.
The San Diego has their player-related telenovela unfolding, which is a great time to do it right before the playoffs. 10 out of 10 timing, San Diego.
Yes.
If Moore is going to be doing that kind of stuff, and obviously not scoring like 2 goals a game kind of thing,
Right.
but if he's going to be causing problems, then Portland becomes they're not the best team.
No.
They become annoying real quick, man. Like that team is an absolute pain in the ass to play if they're going to give you a couple of chances a game, and I mean they generated like 2.5 XG. And I think most of last night was just first half, and the second half, like RSL put, I think 22 shots, 23 shots on frame, but it was also kind of like kind of late to the party, and the game state dictates a lot of that. The RSL's got questions they got to answer in the off season. But yeah, man, maybe Portland has an interesting 3 games set ahead of them. We'll see.
Ooh.
That reminded me, is like if he can get high, was it? I think it was Kevin Moreno for 2020 Minnesota, which made the Western Conference Finals, and as Niko will be happy to recount to you, I am sure. Minnesota absolutely like spit the bit in one of the most heartbreaking ways humanly possible.
Yes.
And lost to Seattle, who then lost to Columbus in the final. But I think it was Kevin Moreno in that playoff who just like was possessed. And I don't know that he ever hit those heights again. But yeah, if you can we talked about this all the time. We talk about it in hockey, John. Get somebody hot between the pipes, and you get somebody on offense who hits like a purple patch. You can do damage.
That's true. That is absolutely true. Since it is the last half hour of the show, it is time. We go from Lima to Utah to Seattle. So we got the Mountain Time Zone, the Eastern Time Zone, and the Pacific Time Zone. Niko, we got a special guest. Jarrett dropped in from Utah this morning to hang out with you in the segment.
Hey, what up, Jarrett? Long time. How's it going, my guy?
It's going. Moved out to the mountains, and was greeted by watching RSL peter out of the playoffs last night at the hands of Mora and Phil Neville and the Phil Neville Revenge Tour.
Yeah, that was surprising for sure.
Yeah,
I didn't have Kamal Miller on the bingo card at all, scoring a goal and getting Justin Glad losing Kamal Miller at the post. I did not have that on the card at all.
At least Justin actually put a shot on frame and scored off the first time in 2 years. So there's that.
That too. Yes, that too.
Hey, I'll race you, Felipe Mora brace after 20 plus games of no goals. I mean, it seemed like everything went right for the Portland Timbers. I think that's what it took to get him out of this round. And on the same sentence, everything went wrong for RSL. I mean, it fell for 20 minutes of that second half that they were gonna score a couple of goals, and they just couldn't do it. There was mistake after mistake. I have no idea what Cruz was thinking on that free kick by who was it that took it? Why is he escaping my name? The Colombian defender.
We know what you're talking about. We got it.
Yeah, well, the free kick is perfect. It was gonna clear the wall, and I don't know why he just all of a sudden decides to do some sort of moving screen and just pushes the wall. I mean, it was completely unnecessary, and I thought that he was a no-show. Gossa comes out and he comes in, and I thought he was irrelevant, and he ended up doing more bad than good for RSL. So yeah, it was definitely a combination of things that led to Portland moving on to the playoffs.
Yeah, I was. Now it was just. Oh my God, that moment where why you're going into the wall, that blew my mind. Why you decide on a kick that was going in and it was gorgeous. It went, and you decide you're going to go in and crash the wall and try to compress it and try and sit there and make a distraction and everything, and you violate the spacing rule and everything. So it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, Brian Vera. Brian Vera is the one who took the shot. Yeah. And look, I thought that Brian Vera was very good. I thought that Ojeda was excellent. I thought Luna had a lot of moments. Quite honestly, when you look at the stats, when you look at, if you are, someone that goes into the XG factor, I mean, RSL should have won that game. It's just, it wasn't there for them to have. And they allowed the Timbers to stay in this game. And like you said, Kamal Miller there at the end, completely unmarked. He does a good job at staying on side. I mean, he sees the line, he checks himself, and then finds that header. But Glad went from hero to zero there, right? Because he gets that beautiful header. Great job at getting that goal. That 2-1 that kind of gave RSL some momentum and some life. But then, man, that last play is just unacceptable.
How often do we see that though in these games, especially a playoff game, where in RSL's case, they're pushing, they're creating chances, they're forcing saves. They could not find the breakthrough. And then after a few minutes of that, you get one situation the other way, and it's the killing blow from Portland, where RSL had chances, you're right, to tie it up. They didn't take advantage of it, and Portland went down, only needed one shot, and they put the game away, man. You got to take those chances.
I mean,
yeah, no, totally agree.
Legitimately, I think if the Willie Agata bicycle kick goes in and doesn't hit the crossbar, I think we're talking about an entirely different game with momentum and such. But you figured that when Agata's kick hit the crossbar instead of going in, you figured it just wasn't going to be their night.
No, Altunji, there is a easy tap in that he just doesn't get to. He doesn't anticipate that pass. It was clear where it was going to go, and he just doesn't get to it at all, like just not quick enough. There was just a lot of moments for RSL where it just felt like it wasn't going to happen. I mean, there was 2 disallowed goals, both fair, but one very unnecessary and just dumb, to be quite honest, lack of a better word. But yeah, I thought RSL deserved a little bit better. And as much as the Timbers army and the atmosphere was there, I continue to think that the Timbers are very sporadic and irregular in their play. I mean, look, I'm happy for Felipe Mora, and I've always thought that he should be the 9. And I think that one of the problems that Phil Neville has had in Portland has been that rotating door of people at certain positions, including the 9. But look, the goals were there was a little bit of luck involved, man. I mean, I don't know, because he just had, a daughter, I believe he had, and it was just the moment. But there's a ricochet on both of those goals. He just felt like he had a magnet stuck to his foot that just kept pulling the ball his way. But yeah, man, I mean, I think that we can all agree that it wasn't impressive from the Portland Timbers, but hey, sometimes that's what it takes to get into the playoffs, and sometimes that makes you dangerous.
Yep. Jarrett found the quote from KSL's Caleb Turner from Pablo after the match. Quote, Brian Vera's free kick waved off. Quote, that is not something we work on. That was ad-lib, man, and it was a bad moment to ad-lib, especially when the ball hit the back of the net. And if there's one guy you don't need to really move the wall for, the wall is going to move, it's Brian Vera. So you end up with Pablo with one and done. I want to go to the East a little bit. And like I said, it was something we talked about in hour number 1, but I want to get both of your thoughts on this as well. Niko, let me start with you. Oscar Pareja, and I know this is something that your friends at Pulso Sports were lighting up in the tease with you coming in. Oscar Pareja went back to old Oscar Pareja for the purple team at the worst possible time. This season, instead of doing that even-keeled thing where everything's cool and you make your run in the postseason, you go back to how it was. You hit a marker, and then you just kind of do the slow fade, and it's just kind of like one of these. You can just kind of see everything just fading away in the sunset, and the purple team wins 1 out of 8 to wrap up the season. Then you have the moment that you had, or the match that you had last night in Bridgeview, which was a clunker, and we went over the stats there as well, where I think Chicago had like 78 shots, and 59 of them were on target last night. Does this mean that Oscar has worn out his welcome in Orlando? Because I imagine there's going to be a lot of thought about Oscar in the future, where you have that fade, you come crashing in, you were 4th, you come into the playoffs at the 9, and you put up a clunker in Bridgeview. What do you think?
This is a very touchy subject because I feel like there have been a lot of shots fired towards Oscar Pareja, and rightfully so. Look, I was the first one to say, as I'm watching this game, a game that I thought that Oscar was going to plan differently, a game where I thought that Martino Heda was going to step up and be that MVP that he is, that Maguire was going to be a guy that we all know what he can do when he's on. But the reality is that it was an embarrassing performance by Orlando City. They never had control of the game. They didn't have possession. They weren't creative. There wasn't transition moments. There wasn't even fight or character or response. That's what you at least expect out of an Oscar Pareja team. It almost feels like the team gave up on him at a certain point of this game, and Chicago just took advantage of it and never let him get up. But two things can be true. Do I believe that Oscar Pareja has been unsuccessful to put Orlando City where they want to be or take the next step? Absolutely. Yeah. But, I've heard comments about him being a fraud and all of these things. Look, Oscar Pareja's Oscar Pareja. And Oscar's never sold himself as this genius tactician that's going to make your franchise this entertaining soccer. Oscar Pareja specializes on lifting programs from the ground and making them relevant. And I thought he did that in Orlando. Gives them their first trophy, right? Sure, it's a U.S. Open Cup, but he did it. I think he did it in Dallas. I think he's a guy that eventually will be in a Ring of Honor or a Hall of Fame for Dallas. Shoot, maybe even for Orlando City. But the reality is that he has always been true to his form, to his ideology, to his way of handling teams. So the word fraud to me is unnecessary and inaccurate. But I do think that there is a clear criticism of Oscar Pareja just being unable to create a team, regardless of how good it is, because I think this comes into the picture, right? Orlando City on paper is a great team. And Oscar had all the resources that he could possibly want. He got Muriel, and he got Pulisic, and he kept Maguire, and went and got Angulo, went and got Atuesta. I mean, everything he's wanted, he's kind of got. He's called this his most talented team, and you're unable to not just reach the mountain, but you go on a 10-game winningless streak, or I think you get one win in those 10 games, and then you drop from 4th to 9th, and you have to play this game. And now in this game, your team doesn't come out and perform. I think that his job is on the line. I think that the criticism is fair, but I wouldn't go so far into at calling Oscar names or saying that he provided something that he did not reflect, because I thought that he did a good job at getting Orlando City back to relevancy.
Jared, go for it.
I agree. It's go. I don't know if people truly remember, and I don't know if this is just recency bias because we're just used to Orlando being a functioning franchise. Up until Oscar got there, they were just a series of Wile E. Coyote cartoons in just different forms. The Jason Christ era, O'Connor comes in.
O'Connor.
I remain convinced that that a chunk of it was Nani when he was there, who was a brilliant player, one of the best of our eras growing up as kids.
Mm-hmm.
But man, they were just so mentally weak in that era, and Oscar seemed to change all of that. Maybe Oscar's not the guy to take them to the next step. Entirely possible. Like, history is littered with those guys who take a franchise in any sport, in any league, and take it from being a mess to being stable and giving it a solid foundation. They might not be the one to get you to the promised land, but that stuff matters. And maybe you go get somebody, but I think you have to be careful about it, because if you go get someone, you need to make sure that they can build on that and that it doesn't backslide. And that's a scary decision to have to make. And especially for me right now, it'd be kind of, there's a lot of traffic with MLS teams right now. Like, Atlanta's open. LAFC is opening after the Cup. There's a lot of traffic for a lot of big teams that will want to bring in guys and want to court managers maybe year after. I don't know. But yeah, what Oscar did at Dallas, what he's done in Orlando, he's been great. And I think he gets too defensive at times late in seasons.
Yep.
And it stinks. And I don't like it for Oscar because I don't think I've ever heard a crossword about him. But if you make that move, I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong if they think they need to hit it into another gear. But it's a risky decision, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love that you bring that up, Jared, because that's the reality. Look, as someone who has covered Oscar Pareja, who has sat down and talked to him countless occasions ever since his early years coaching at Dallas, and I've sat down with him and Clavijo, rest in peace, and he is always going to be true to his form, and sometimes that's for the better or for worse. Look, if you're going to come and tell me that Oscar's too conservative, yeah, I'll agree. If you come and tell me that he has been unsuccessful to win major trophies, sure, let's do that. If you want to come and tell me that his tactics at times are a little antiquated, let's have that conversation. But don't tell me that he isn't a good coach or that he was a complete failure in Orlando, because I would absolutely disagree. For everything that you just said, Orlando had been a mess, and Dallas was nothing before Oscar Pareja. Well, not nothing, but they had been for a long time not quite relevant until he got there and made him relevant. So I just have a hard time with people who are way too radical when talking about a head coach that I know is passionate about the game, that is extremely qualified, that goes out there and gives 110% every single time he's leading a team. Whether that works or not, it's fine. Whether it was a bad decision to let Ramiro Enrique walk and, you were going to depend more on Muriel, who you thought was at a certain form, but then it wasn't. And, you were hoping that Maguire was a certain guy, but then he wasn't. And you had problems with some injuries. I'm not saying that's why he failed this year. I think that there's more to it than that. But at the end of the day, Oscar Pareja went out there, he did a job, and he was just unable to reach it. But don't come and tell me that the guy is a fraud or that the guy should be put in soccer jail for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, that's a load of bunk, and that's the terminology that I will use. I know that we have to discuss the injury to Pedro de la Vega and what that means, because you've got a series coming up against the Loons on Monday, I think is match number 1. Jarrett brought up a topic of a series that starts sooner than that one. So let me go to this topic, and then we'll go to Seattle. And it has to do with what's possibly going on in San Diego. And according to Tommy Scoops, now that he is at the Athletic now, the availability of San Diego FC star winger Chucky Lozano for the club's playoff run is uncertain due to an internal situation, absent from the matchday squad in decision day, absence due to a verbal altercation that took place in the locker room earlier this month, sources said. Subbed off at halftime during the game against Houston October 4. Unhappy about it. Verbal altercation takes place. One source said that Lozano needs to prove how committed he is to the locker room in order to be available to play in the playoffs. San Diego obviously is going to be taking on Portland on the weekend. Mikey Vera said after the win Saturday, he said, we had a situation we are dealing with internally. And so in addition to the idea of possibly signing Luca de la Torre on a permanent, you got Chucky Lozano and all of this drama. Niko, not something that you need heading into your first playoff series as an expansion club.
No, I said this when I first saw it, and then later I put it on X. This could have major implications because when you look at a San Diego team that depends so much on what those talented wingers do, and that after deciding not to keep Milan Iloski, you lost that firepower and that finishing in the final third. You need a guy like Lozano, a guy that has the magic that can, at any moment in time, finish from mid-range and just be another problem for defenses. And look, no disrespect to Pellegrino, who, he's a good player, and, he's played the 9, he's played out wide. And, of course, Dreyer's the MVP of this team. But not having Lozano is a problem, without a doubt, for San Diego. I'm not saying against Portland, because Portland, I don't know if they can really put this San Diego team under duress enough to make it worth it. But whoever gets out of Minnesota and the Sounders, you best believe they're going to benefit if you have decided to not keep Lozano. Now, I do not know what happened. I have reached out to some sources, and it sounds like it is something that will be resolved. So my guess is that after whatever happens, if it's internal disciplinary action or if it's just a talk, I mean, he's already missed the game or whatever it is that's going to happen, I think that it will get resolved by the time that you need Lozano. Yeah. But the vibes are not going to be right no matter what. And that cohesiveness and that type of identity that we saw from this San Diego team kind of depends on that, kind of depends of that ability for this team to play good as a collective. So it's an issue. I think it'll get resolved, but you cannot tell me that, Corbett is what you want there at the 9 with Pellegrino on the side compared to maybe having Lozano and Pellegrino at the 9. I just think that San Diego is kind of playing with fire right now. But at the same time, I understand that a coach is not going to be talked to a certain way, and a coach like Mikey Veras is not going to allow diva-ish type of attitudes in his locker room. Right. So for all accounts, I think that this situation will be handled, but it would be interesting how it affects the serenity or lack thereof of that locker room.
That's an interesting word, Jared, that Niko uses, the serenity of the locker room. I like that breakdown.
But this is why we talk so much about managers as not just tacticians, but as managers, of finding that balance between, this is one of the worst times possible for you to have a player kind of get out of pocket or perceived to get out of pocket, however it's being reported. But you can't let this kind of thing go if you're the manager. And if it makes this 3-game playoff against Portland tricky now, but in doing so, you establish a hard line in the sand, and you are establishing a culture, then sometimes you have to take a half step back to keep moving forward. And it's important to not let a player dictate everything like that. And if they're going to cause problems, you have to treat them all the same. Now that doesn't mean you're a hard ass with everybody. You don't want to be Bud Kilmer with everybody. Like, every player needs to be. You treat them differently to get the most out of them. Right. But on the discipline side of things, you can't let somebody rock the boat right before the playoffs. And it's a tricky situation. And it's that manager side of things is one of the reasons you pay for a good manager.
All right, I've delayed long enough. We have to discuss the playoff series that is happening on Monday for the start. And it is the late one. It is 9-ish, so my guess is like 9:20 Eastern time. Minnesota, Seattle, the 4-5. And news came out late last week, Niko, about Pedro de la Vega, and it's 6 to 8 months in recovery for a fractured patella. Those are not words that you really want to have in any sentence at any time, but the impact of this, just as PDV was getting into that rhythm of the offense and the demands that Brian Schmetzer has, that is awful news at the worst time.
It is awful news. I have been on record saying that this minimizes Sounders' chances to go on a deep run in this playoffs. I think that is undeniable that Pedro de la Vega was an X factor, was a game changer, was a guy that made your attack elite. Not that he cannot be good or dangerous with Paul Rothrock playing that position. Not like you don't have depth with guys like Georgie right behind him. You could do a lot of things at that winger position, even playing Kalani a little bit higher. You could play Reed Baker White a little bit higher. But at the end of the day, you are losing a guy that had been a proven player, that is definitely by far your most talented attacker, that has a bag deep as it goes when it comes to just being able to affect and influence the game, both defensively and offensively. So it's tough. My mind goes directly into being disheartened for the player. Pedro de la Vega has put everything in his power and has turned his life into just rehabbing and trying to figure out how he stays healthy. And for it to just go down in flames against New York City FC, in a game that maybe was low stakes, but that I felt like he needed to be out there. I felt like it was important for him to continue to build continuity, continue to build minutes, continue to keep his form. It's just unfortunate. So he's had surgery. Surgery went well. Brian said 6 months, 6 to 8 sounds about right. He'd be ready for April. But I do believe that his base case scenario for the player and for the club, had it been an ACL, which was my first thought, that he was holding that knee, same knee that he did in Lanús, my mind went to ACL. So I was happy to hear that it was a patella, and I was happy to hear that the idea on recovery was a lot shorter than it could have been. So we hope that he gets well, but the Sounders' chances are going to be impacted. Even if it's against Minnesota, I feel like they're going to struggle a bit to break down a team that, look, to be honest, Minnesota has fallen off 3 or 4 steps to where they were at one point. I think that not having Tanny has been huge for that team. I think that the lack of Yeboah because of the injury has been big. I feel like even defensively, they've showed some holes that they weren't showing earlier. So I think the Sounders are still the favorite going into this one, regardless of what you may see in the standings and regardless of the 3-game series obviously benefited Minnesota. But I feel confident that the Sounders, with what they have, they can manage to win at least round 1 of the playoffs.
Right now, looking at juice boxes for this game specifically, not the series on the whole, Seattle is a road dog. No real surprise, but it's not a large margin. Plus 170 right now for Seattle to win over 90 minutes. 90-minute draw plus 247, and the Loons are a plus 143. Tomorrow, Niko, we have a series. I don't know if you've heard of this gentleman, but there's a guy named Messi.
I think I know him.
Yeah, and so we could have a situation where Nashville and Messi and friends could play 4 times in a row. Decision day, 3-game series, and I think the longer the series goes, the more I lean toward Nashville in this one because of experience and age and knees and joints and all these kinds of things, and finding out that your speed on the wings can get behind the back line of Messi and friends. They start things off on Friday night. What's your early vibe on match day 1?
Yeah, both you and I are in the same page when it comes to, look, I really believe that this format benefits Nashville. And I feel like beating a team 5-2 in a game that didn't really look like the 5-2, that if it's not for the Nahar, a handball in the 18, Nashville probably does a lot better in that game, but you allow momentum to shift to Miami. I like Nashville. I really do. I think that BJ has a real way to influence the game and keep the ball away from Messi. Again, it all kind of goes out of sorts when one of the best players in soccer history arguably decides to turn it on. But I do think that because of the amount of minutes, because of the amount of familiarity between these two teams, I really do believe that Nashville has more weapons to break down and expose Inter Miami than vice versa. And because of that, and because of what I believe is a more sustainable approach to the game, I think Nashville is going to surprise people. I think this one might go 3, but I do believe that Nashville will come out on top.
But is it a surprise, though, if Nashville takes care of business in 3?
I mean, I think you'd say for most, right? I mean, everybody who I talk to when it comes to the pundits, most of them have Inter Miami moving on. Obviously, the Messi factor. And look, as much as I think Rodrigo De Paul has been underwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think he's came on and did anything incredibly differently. I believe that without a doubt, Nashville is the better team. So to your point, do I think is a surprise? I mean, I guess so. I think anytime that you have Messi on the other end and the team has pummeled you the week before, I think that it's fair to call it that way. But I think we're both on the same page where maybe we should not be as surprised because we know that Nashville is a good team.
All right, what's going on, Pulso Sports Sounder at heart? Because I know once again you're heading to the Providence and Swedish delicatessen and 5-minute oil change to find out what's going on as they get ready for the series with Minnesota.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, I mean, if you want to find out what Brian said, what Jordan Morris said to us yesterday, who, you know, oh, by the way, told us how important it was for him to get that goal in New York. Mm-hmm. One of the positives that did come out of that game was Jordan Morris getting that monkey off his back when it comes to not being able to put the ball in the back of the net after his injury recovery. You can check that out at Pulso Sports. We're going to be on Love and Scorchers later on tonight. I believe it's 7:00. We're going to do a nice little round table with Jeremiah and Noah and Ari. We're going to be talking about the playoffs. We're going to be talking about the Sounders. So go ahead and check that out. At Pulso Sports, I'll be putting out a video about my ballot for the awards, MLS End of the Year awards, although I don't really have a ballot because MLS doesn't think I'm good enough to have a vote, but I'm still going to go ahead and do it. And I'm going to put that video out there. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming up. Of course, Friday, we're going to have what we learned this week with Jeremiah Oshan, breaking down the week that was of training. And then on Monday, Love and Scorchers kickoff with Ari Lillenwall, where we break down what happened during the weekend. And obviously we have the game on Monday night. So you're going to have to wait to see what happens with the Sounders till later that day.
And we will recap it all again when we reconvene here at the same time again next week. As always, my friend, great to see you. We'll catch up with you next week as we are now full-blown into MLS Cup playoffs. Great to see you and have a safe weekend.
Thank you, John. Jared, my guy. It's good hearing you, my man. And SDH family, always happy to be on.
All right. We will catch up with you in a week's time. And there goes Niko. Niko's going to have like his second cup of coffee. I forgot to ask what cup of coffee he's on. Let's put a bow on night number 1 on the wild card and what stuck out in your brain in the overall from this and what to look forward to for tomorrow when we have Messi and friends in Nashville kicking things off again.
As much as we've talked about Orlando and the issues with Oscar Pereira, give Greg his flowers. First time since 2009 that Chicago has gotten out of the first round of the playoffs. There's going to be a section of U.S. national team Twitter that is going to be up in arms, and still mad at Greg about, I don't know, gesture at everything, and you'll have it covered. That being said, you give Greg his flowers, give Chicago their flowers, because it is one thing to say that Orlando did not play well. That's true. They did not. Mm-hmm. Chicago smelled blood in the water, and they were professional about finishing that game off. Probably should have had 4 or 5 goals in that game.
Yep.
really professional performance from them. Really cool for Chicago. I'm with y'all on Miami and Nashville. I tend to fall into the romantic trap with Miami because you have a couple of legends retiring that they are going to empty the tank.
Oh yeah,
every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see them getting to the final. Now, whether they get it done remains to be seen. I think they will. I think Messi, as much as anybody, will leave literally everything on the table for his boys to make sure that they get to walk off lifting a trophy. Because, yeah, man, that's the dream.
Mm-hmm.
We don't often get our dreams. So Nashville will be a pain in the ass for them, 100%.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's really, and it is a tricky pitfall for me to not slip into the, but Miami's going to try and make things happen for their boys. We'll see.
Yep. And before we get out of here, I'm attempting to take care of unfortunate liqueur, rum, and various other sundry characters here. So viewer solicitation. Spell solicitation, John. B-O-T. And of course, Fat Fingers take care of a bunch of other letters that don't need to be in. And thank you, Derek, for letting us know. Viewer solicitation bot, 23 characters, report submitted and closed. So there we go. All right. So tomorrow, full show. And David, the Nani meltdown era really hurt that team, maintained a bit after, never gotten back to it. The penalty shootout, red card chaos with Gillespie. Yes, Gillespie and Schlegel and all of that was definitely a part of it too. And they struggled. Yeah, and that pitch in Bridgeview, that definitely interesting.
The pitch in Bridgeview has been an issue for years, though.
Yeah, I know. So wait a second. Hang on just a second. We might have now Ricky being an intrepid producer. It appears that the gentleman known as Messi, he appears to have renewed his contract with that club. So I believe it is. Let's see. So he is apparently.
Well, Derek, you're gonna have to wait 2 more years. You're ready for post MLS Messi. Well, take a 2-year nap.
Yep. So all right. So with the video is that is on all the social medias. We have Leo looking at a stack of paper, and he's got the pen, and it's not the framed photo where you have the pen over the contract that you haven't signed, but legitimately he signed it, and he's smiling, and they've removed everything from behind wherever he signed it, and it looks like he's either in a playground or on a beach or something. We're widening out the shot. Oh, he's in the middle of Freedom Park. Okay, so he's in the middle of the new stadium, and they continue to pull out with the drone shot, and they continue to pull out, and it's a pink sunset, and it appears that it's another couple of seasons of Leo Messi in his new stadium. So he's going to be hanging around for at least another season to open the park. Not necessarily a surprise that is the case, but you end up with Leo Messi, and he's staying. He's a stay-in. You know, Rayanne, she's a stay-in. So is Messi. So Messi, he's signed. Looks like it's another 2, and there you go. So Leo is staying. And we're going because we got stuff to talk about tomorrow. It is Lucas Panzica dropping by, batting leadoff. He's going to talk about the National Series against Messi and friends. Then it's hopefully our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30, and we'll see who is going to be joining us from Major League Soccer at 10. Will Pelagic, radio play-by-play voice for Charlotte FC, is going to be joining us at 10:30 to talk about his series and the Wilf Zaha, at least in match number 1. So very, very busy day tomorrow to wrap your week. And we'll put a bow on everything and get you ready for it all. Jared, thanks for dropping by and staying past your normal time before you have to go and report to actual work.
I know, right? That's good.
Yeah.
It's only 9 o'clock here. It's fine.
Well, yeah, but I don't want you to get.
Also, I think we're going to get a bunch of snow in the mountains nearby, so there's that.
Oh, well, there you go. So we end on a contract extension, and we're going to be back at it again here in a little less than 22 hours. So for Jarrett, for Nino, for Niko, all of you, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do, for another go-round of SDH AM. Back at it again less than 22 hours since it's the end of the show. Means we get to do this. Much Platiel, play it safe. We'll be back at it again before you know it, otherwise known as tomorrow. Bye.